File management 101, going through this quick. Work folder, client folder, project folder, client folder. Make sure you save your changes as separate files. That's where I was talking about version 1, version 2, and name your files properly. Make a work folder. So it should be called My Work or whatever your company name is or something like that, separate from everything else. And this is the picture that you didn't see. I said, I should not look like this when I'm looking at your file.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
Work folder, school folder, personal folder. So keep those things all separate. Client folders, again, whoever your clients, I would make a folder that's your client's name. Very basic. So here's your client folders and your class folders. So on the left-hand side is like how to organize, just like one option of a way to organize your client folders. For your classroom folders, this is where I was talking about, you have to have a folder that says Illustrator, iMac, InDesign, Photoshop, like all, so every time you start a new class, you should be creating a new folder within your Reeves folder. I don't know what you want to call it. You can call it school, right? So whatever you decide to call that folder, just make sure you have these all listed and labeled properly. Within that, you're going to have, filing folders. So that would be your production, your proofs, your client files, your assets. So this is for business, the business side. You can have client in your, so if you're doing a job for someone, say you're doing business cards, I'm going to use that as an example again. You're going to have all of your, you could have emails or notes that you take or files that they send you. Like if they're like, oh, I really like this person's business card. Like, so you understand their style and what they're looking for, the feeling. So save that all in a folder called client input or something, you know, client files or something like that. Also within your clients folder, you will have quotes and estimates and things like that. You don't have to call it business, but you can. That's just something you can try to use. You can make up your own name. The assets are going to be like logos they send you, any photos you're using in your design, elements you use to put together your design. So like Illustrator files or Photoshop files or something like that. And then you'll have a design folder, which I don't typically have the design folder. I just keep my files within this. But depending on how much you have in there, you might want to create a design folder. So it's everything that you're working on and the versions and revisions stages of everything. So this is where like you have things you don't use. You might use it in a proof, but you don't have it like, you don't need to send it to your client or anything like that. It's not a final version. So it's just everything you're working on basically. And then you'll have a folder that's production. So production is going to be like the final collection of your files. So this is the files that we want from you guys basically. So you're going to have, that's where your assignments are going to be that you're handing into us. And they should be like collected. So you should have your PDFs and your original, we will have your original files, but these could be any files you send to the printer or the final files you send to the client. So there's many ways to organize. This is just another way to do it. So you could have a project folder, your assets, your artwork, your press, and then you could have it all listed underneath there accordingly. So saving your changes a new file. We're going to talk about, this is like, has to do with labeling and saving your file. So this is what we don't want to do, but this is how it feels. So first you start out, it's called project, then it's called project 2, then it's called project final, then it's called project final 2, then it's called project final, then it's final, this one seriously. Look at this first, Actually, no, this is the last one. And then this is the last one, number 2.
Yeah.
So
Mine's
it
changing
does
their mind.
end up sometimes going that way.
Yeah. Clients
So
changing their
when
mind
you
all
do
the time.
have a final, I often will just put like an F and put 01, because sometimes they will make changes to the final project. So then I would say the next version is final 02, right? So just keep that in mind. So separating your file versions, this is a way that somebody else has done it. When you're working in a bigger company, you see at the end it says editor initials. So that would be your initials, because not like, say a designer gives you their files, you're going to be doing the production work on it. You're going to label that file with your initials behind it, right? And every company will have a different way of organizing these. But you want to make sure you go save as and rename your file. So naming your files properly. You can create your own system, but it needs to make sense to everyone. So in this version, this is like a really complex version that somebody has made. But when you work in a bigger company, they will give you docket numbers or job numbers. So that's why they have that 4328. You can create your own. So say you're doing a job for Boston Pizza, for example. Maybe you have BP as your that could be like your first, not the job number, but your client name. So just BP, which is that 3-letter code, basically, where it says THL. So you'd have BP, and then you'd say like menus, right? You would have your menus in there. Yours probably wouldn't be so long, but again, just make sure that it's really easy to read and figure out. So when you're sending clients files, you would send them a list of what each file, like a JPEG of each file name, so that they can see it. And then so the Illustrator files, they know what corresponds. So if they're sending something to print at a printing shop, they know that they can look up JPEG version 3 of their logo, and that's the one that they want to use to put on some banner, something like that. So just make sure that it's really, really clearly labeled so other people are going to understand it. The R3 is, they called theirs round 3. I think in the one above, they called it, oh no, it was 3B. So as you can see, like everybody kind of has their own system. And I included one for you guys right here. So assignment and lesson naming. So this is, we have this PDF in the iMac folder. And I don't think those of you that just started got one. So we can send this to you via email. So ways that you can organize your naming is you could have your project name, and you could have C for concept 1, C2 for concept 2, C3 for concept 3, right? P can mean project or proof. V could mean version, F could mean final. And so when you're organizing your files, you could have like A equals assignment and P equals project or something like that. Also, I put add your initials to the end of your project to ensure we give you the proper grading. Because if you all send us something that says assignment 1, and we don't know who it's from, and it's just saved onto our desktop, especially right now, because we don't have your, sometimes it just gets confusing. We download it, and then it just says assignment 1, Illustrator. Well, we don't know which person's Illustrator that is, right? So just make sure that you're adding like initials or your last name or something so that we know whose it is. And then that's it. The end. Hope this all made sense.
Or it does to me.
Okay, good.
And I've had, you know, that example of having the docket number, the client initial, or some 3-letter acronym,
Yes.
or whatever, the
Yeah.
file number, what file it is, what project it is, all that type of stuff. Yeah, I've faced those. So
Yeah.
once you're familiar with the system, it's like it becomes natural.
Advertise, yes, it does. Yeah, advertising agent, the agency I worked at, like worked on government of Alberta, but it was always like GOA, and then there was a docket number, so you always had to look at the docket number. But I mean, like when you're doing your own system, unless you, I mean, maybe you'll have it. Maybe you'll have enough clients. You'll have a really big company, and you need to get 3 designers naming the files all the same, so that
No, I
you know,
do that for my yeah, I do that
yeah,
for my freelancing. I have an acronym like this for my clients. So it's 3 letters usually, dash, and then project number. So 01, 02, etc. And I've
yeah.
had plans for many years. So I'm like at
I
90.
use the year, like the year as part of my docket,
Yeah, no,
or
I
like
don't.
my number. I usually put like 2020, 2019, and then
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
go by that, and then
And
that way.
yeah, so organizing your own system. I was thinking like in IMAX, because they have a week long to do stuff. Edwin, they should create a filing system.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would be a great like use of their time during that week.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good habit to develop, because you will thank yourself later when you have
Oh yeah.
many clients or many classes in this particular setting right now. You have, and you're looking for file X, right? And then you go, okay, so I think it was assignment 6 in Illustrator, and then it's just a matter of following the thread, finding the file name. It's easy. If everything's called Untitled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A B, yeah, you're gonna pull your own hair, and I'm gonna pull whatever is left of mine. So yeah, so please start that early, get organized, and yeah, it's a good habit to develop, especially when you're freelancing as well. When you have as I said, like a docket number or client number system kind of thing, because even your invoicing, your estimate, everything has the same code, right? So you know which project it was for. It's all written there. It's all linked. It's all in the same folder. It's easy to track down what has been paid, what has not, etc., etc. It's easier said than done, but once you get into that habit, it's easy.
I know when I was doing signage, it was the same thing. We'd have the client's name, and in the client's
Yeah.
subfolders for business cards, for brochures, for banners, everything. Everything had its own, but all within the client's main folder. And there were a lot of folders.
Oh yeah, it can reach the thousands pretty quickly. Yeah.